Is James Telerico, a state House member in Texas, the next big thing for Democrats? Let's dig into Telerico, how we got here, and why I think he could be. All right, so if you don't follow this stuff super closely, James Telerico is a state rep in Texas. He got elected in 2018 to a seat that had been held by Republicans for more than the last decade. He won. He ran in a different seat. He won that seat. So he's been in the state legislature since 2018. And he had sort of developed a bit of a following over that time. He's a very young guy. He's only 36 years old now. So obviously he was in his late 20s when he got first elected. He developed sort of a following online, particularly among young Democrats, for his background, which is unique. Yes, he was in his late 20s when he got elected. Yes, he is only 36 now. He also, his grandfather was a preacher. He is training to be a pastor. He's a former middle school teacher, and he talks and has talked, I would say, quite eloquently in the past about, and currently about his faith. He is sort of a rare Democrat who has done that. Now, Talarico went from someone that people who follow Texas politics and maybe sort of Democratic politics very closely knew to someone that lots and lots of people knew when in July he scored an interview on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is either the biggest or second or third biggest in the world. In that interview, Rogan, who very prominently endorsed Donald Trump in 2024, told Talarico that he should run for president because we need more good people to be president. That took Talarico into the stratosphere, right? He went from a name that some people knew on the inside to a name almost everybody knew. Who is this guy? What's he doing? He has over 1.2 million followers on TikTok now. I mean, he is a thing. That was July. In August, Talarico, state rep in Texas, as I said, was the leading face of the Texas Democrats' fight against the Republican-led redistricting pushed by Donald Trump in the state. Well, that could be Talarico calling me right now. Nope, it's not him. So Talarico got a lot more national attention, right? He's very well-spoken. Some have called him the Texas Pete Buttigieg, right? He's very well-spoken, smart guy. And he became sort of the face of that opposition in Texas to Donald Trump, the redistricting. Now, ultimately, it didn't work out. Obviously, Republicans passed their map, but Talarico got even more fame because of that, which led to lots of speculation about what he was going to run for next, which I'm going to get to just as soon as I do this. Become a subscriber for two reasons. I'm independent from big media, corporate media, and from the two political parties. I'm always shooting it straight to you. Second, I'm authentic. This is me. This is my home office. The phone rings sometimes. I'm always going to tell you what I think is going on in politics every single day. I'm not going to ever just do fan service and tell you what you want to hear so that you become a subscriber. Okay, so Talarico, 36-year-old guy, state rep, but has now become this sort of hugely well-known figure in the Democratic Party. You know, he's not as well-known as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders or Zoran Mamdani, but he's pretty well-known for a state rep in Texas. So there's all this speculation. What's he going to do? What's he going to run for? Because Texas has two statewide races up in 2026. One is the governorship, where Greg Abbott, we think, is running again, the Republican governor. And the other is the Senate race, where John Cornyn is running. He faces a challenge from the state attorney general, Ken Paxton, but that's a seat that he could also run for. Now, I've said before, I think if I was Talarico and his people, I would run for governor. I think he probably has a better chance of winning that race. But Talarico announced very recently, earlier this month, that he is running for the U.S. Senate. Now, can he win that race? Great question. So it's going to be tough for two reasons, the primary and the general election. So in the primary, Talarico has to face off with several people, but the biggest name is former Congressman Colin Allred. Allred was a linebacker in the NFL, member of Congress from the Dallas area briefly, and he ran in 2024 for Senate against Ted Cruz. Now, Allred, who many Democrats insisted was going to win that race, lost that race by 9 points. But he quickly announced he was running again. He is the establishment pick. There is no question about that. DC Democrats believe Allred is their best bet. He is already raising tons of money. He's much more well-known statewide than Talarico is because he ran for the Senate and spent millions, and tens of millions of dollars on his campaign. So in order to win, to even become the Democratic nominee, Talarico has a lift, and let's assume he becomes the Democratic nominee, okay, which, I don't think is even a 50-50 shot at this point, but let's assume he does. Then he would have to win a general election in a state where no Democrat has won a statewide race since 2002. 2002. We've had Beto O'Rourke come close against Ted Cruz. We've had Colin Allred come sort of close against Ted Cruz. The point is, they've come close-ish, but they haven't won in 2 decades, right? So I think Democrats think they have a better chance this time than almost any time before, because while Cornyn is the incumbent, Paxton, much more controversial, much more MAGA, is leading in polls right now. And so I think there is some talk that if Paxton wins, which I think is a possibility, it's not 100%, but it's a possibility certainly. If Paxton wins, that would open up the state to Democrats, in that there would be a lot of sort of country club establishment Republicans who would not vote for Paxton's version of the Republican Party. And if they had a credible Democratic alternative, they would vote for that. So maybe. Okay. Now, I will say this. I don't want to be too dismissive of Talarico, because I do think a couple things. One, the Democratic Party is desperate for fresh faces. They need to get younger, and they need to change their brand, right? Their brand cannot be woke leftism of the two coasts. If Talarico could get elected, it would be terrific for them. He is a face that they would want. And I want to read you something that Talarico said in his announcement video, because I think this is powerful stuff. Powerful messaging on religion. Here's what he said. He references his grandfather, who was a Baptist preacher, in the video. And he says his grandfather, quote, taught me that we follow a barefoot rabbi who gave 2 commandments, love God and love neighbor. He adds, 2,000 years ago, when the powerful few rigged the system, that barefoot rabbi walked into the seat of power and flipped over the tables of injustice. To those who love this state, to those who love this country, to those who love our neighbors, it's time to start flipping tables. It's compelling stuff. I mean, I think one of the reasons that Talarico was building a following even before Rogan and even before the Texas redistricting is because he is a person of faith who is a Democrat who isn't backing down. Several years ago, one of his speeches on the State House floor went viral. He was arguing against the posting of the 10 Commandments, but did it from a religious believer's perspective. He has gotten a lot of attention. Barack Obama has called him. I mean, there's a lot. Democrats have been looking for the next Barack Obama for a while now. There is a sense that maybe this guy could be it. I always warn people, don't compare great basketball players to LeBron James. It's just unfair to them. There's one LeBron James. There's one Barack Obama. But could James Talarico be a face and a voice that could help the Democrats climb out of the political wilderness they are in? Sure. But what I would say is, don't assume that just because he's sort of a celebrity, particularly online, that will translate to winning a primary against a former congressman who's already run and won a primary and run a general election. And even if Talarico does beat Allred, I would say he's got a 35 to 40% chance of winning the general election, just given what we know about Texas and its history of electing Republicans, especially to federal office. So I think Talarico is very interesting. His youth, his online presence, his ability to connect with regular people and speak like a normal human, and his ability to talk about religion and faith from a Democratic perspective are all, I think, very appealing. The political realities that face him, however, are challenging, not unovercomable, but definitely challenging. But stay tuned. I think that race is going to be really, really interesting, both in the primary and in the general election down in Texas. All right, that's all I got for you today. As always, as I said before, I hope you subscribe. Independent and authentic. Those are my promises to you. I also hope you like and comment on this video. That helps me grow my community, helps my content get out to people who aren't already subscribers. Last thing, tell somebody in your Bible study or at your bowling, your weekly bowling outing. Do people still bowl? I love bowling. About what I'm doing here and why you think independent journalism and people who are calling balls and strikes matter now more than ever. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being evangelizing about what I'm doing here, and take care.